Hi, and in this video I want to review an article that appeared in the website of Jehovah's Witnesses, jw.org, and the article is titled, Does God Have a Name? So in this video, I am going to look at the question of the name of God, which is very central to Jehovah's Witness teachings, because Jehovah's Witnesses teach that God has a personal name, and that for you to have a relationship with God, you need to address him in his own personal name, just as you would address another person. Right? So the way I'm going to do this is first I'm going to talk about what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe, right? And what they say in this article, does God have a name? And there will be a link in the description to it. And then after that, I am going to contrast what the Jehovah's Witnesses say with what three encyclopedias have to say about the name Jehovah and the name of God. So one encyclopedia I will use is Wikipedia. The second encyclopedia will be the New World Encyclopedia, and the third one will be Encarta 2006, right? Which I still have. Anyhow, first let's look at what Jehovah's Witnesses have to say. Does God have a name? The Bible's answer: humans all have personal names. Wouldn't it be reasonable for God to have a name? Having and using personal names is a vital part of human friendships. Should it be different when it comes to our friendships with God? And and this is where I comment. Yeah, wouldn't it be reasonable for God to have a name? But does God need a name? I mean, is there a rule that says God needs to have a name? I mean, why would he or it or she um, need a name, right? Um, why is that so important? Um, but yeah, I can understand though why Jehovah's Witnesses do this, because Jehovah's Witnesses want their relationship with their what I think is a caricature of the Abrahamic God. But that's just my personal, biased opinion. Uh, let's backtrack here. Throw my opinion out of the window. Okay, forget my opinion about the comment about the caricature uh, of the Abrahamic deity. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that God is a person, and for the relationship of the Jehovah's Witness feligresy with that God which they worship, for it to be meaningful, that relationship has to be personal. And for that to happen, the interaction between the feligresy and the God has to be mediated by his name, which is Jehovah, right? They want to make it concrete that there is a relationship. They want to make it real. They want to make Jehovah real. And that is why they insist on using his personal name, because he's a person that exists, right? So that's okay. They're entitled to do that if they want to. But I mean, personally, I don't really, I don't think, why would God need a name, right? Um, in one article, we're going to look at some information that states that God has actually 7 names. But let's continue with the Jehovah's Witness article here. And of course, there will be links to all this in the description. Okay. In the Bible, God says, quote, "I am Jehovah, that is my name," end quote, Isaiah 42:8. Although he also has many titles such as God Almighty, Sovereign Lord, and Creator. He honors his worshippers by inviting them to address him by his personal name. And they cite Genesis 17:1, Acts 4:24, and 1 Peter 4:19 to, as to back up that theological statement. Okay. Now, in the Bible, right? When Jehovah's Witnesses mean the Bible, they mean their version of the Bible, which is not like other versions of the Bible, because their version of the Bible, the New World Translation, the latest edition in 2013, is redacted. Okay, so they made changes to the. If you compare it to another, I mean, they make changes to the Bible to conform to their theology. So in their case, the theology comes from the Bible. So they formulated the theology, and then they use the Bible to back up a pre-existing, prepackaged theology that they, that is an evolving document, because Jehovah's Witnesses change the theology back and forth all the time. So they call it, new light. When a change happens, it's new light, and you're supposed to forget the previous as if it never happened. So if you look at the history of Jehovah's Witnesses, there's this whole backlog of former theological positions that were discarded, that are sometimes the absolute opposite of what they believe today. And I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses today are very far, very, very far from what the original teachings of the Bible student movement of Charles S. Russell was. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses split from the Bible student movement in 1931. So I mean, they retain a lot of ideas from it, and a lot of concepts and theological, perspectives from that movement. But as the years, as time has passed, they have made so many modifications that now Jehovah's Witnesses are really, post Bible student. They really they have drifted far away from the original teachings of Charles Taze Russell, and you can see this when you look at the actual teachings of Charles Taze Russell and you compare it with Jehovah's Witness teachings. There are many discrepancies. So yeah, so I just say that because this in the Bible thing, right? The Bible means to Jehovah's Witnesses the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, and only the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, right? Which is their own creation. So these Bible quotes refer to the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, But yeah, now they know this. So in the next paragraph they say, quote, "Many translations of the Bible contain God's personal name at Exodus 6:3. That passage says, 'I used to appear to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty, but as respects my name Jehovah, I did not make myself known to them.'" Now, let's see, Exodus 6:3. I'm going to look Exodus up in Bible Gateway, okay? I want to see Exodus 6:3, right? In Bible Gateway. Let's see what Bible Gateway has to say. Here, I use Bible Gateway. There is also Bible Hub, but I prefer Bible Gateway. Okay, this is in the New International Version. It says, "I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself fully known to them." Okay, so that suggests right there that God doesn't really want to make his name fully known to them. So why, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, God prefers to be anonymous, and that is his right to do that, right? If it's a person and you respect a person's privacy, I mean, if Jehovah's Witnesses believe that God is a person, they should respect God's privacy, and they should respect his right to say, I did not make myself fully known to them. I prefer not to make myself fully known to you. I am, and that's all you need to know. I am. So if you believe, of course, that the God of the Creator God requires existence, but anyways, that's a separate issue. Let's see. The New King James Version says, "I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name Lord, I was not known to them." That's the New King James Version. So everywhere in this passage that they cite, so you can see the contrast here. You see how Jehovah's Witnesses alter the biblical text, because in their version of Exodus 6:3, and if we open up the link here, I'm working with a desktop here. Exodus 6:3, the New World Translation, the Study Edition, that's 2013. "And I used to appear to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty, but with regard to my name Jehovah, I did not make myself known to them." So Jehovah's Witnesses inserted this Jehovah, right? They replaced Lord with Jehovah, and they do this throughout the Bible. This is Jehovah's Witnesses are notorious for this. In their translation of the Bible, the New World Translation, they insert the word, they deliberately remove Lord and whatever, and replace it with Jehovah. So Jehovah's Witnesses are like, essentially what Jehovah's Witnesses are doing is they're fabricating. They're engaging in a fabrication here, where they're making this fabrication that God's name is Jehovah just because Anyways, in a minute I'm going to look at what about the name Jehovah from more objective sources, from non-confessional sources. Okay, from a perspective that is not confessional to Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, because there's really no objectivity there is no objectivity in theology. So anyways, you cannot say objective sources when you talk about theology or things like that, because it's subjective. And that does not mean that I am a cynic, or that I am a cynic or a relativist. Okay, I'm just simply saying that theology is like a sock. You can turn it inside out. Again, that's a fact. Anyways, it's the same with philosophy. It's philosophical metaphysics. It's philosophical speculation. Anyways, many translations of the Bible contain God's person. Okay, I already read that. Okay, Jehovah is a rendering of God's name in English that has been used for centuries. See, this is very clever, this little statement here, for centuries, but they don't tell you how long, right? It turns out that the word Jehovah is an English word, a word made up by, a Catholic monk in England. I think it was in the 1300s where it was coined. One version that I heard, it was 1300s that it was coined. Another version is that William Tyndale used it in his translation of the English Bible. And then it appears from the Geneva Bible. He took that from the Geneva Bible. There is like a couple of competing theories as to where this word came from. But it is very certain that Jesus Christ never used the word Jehovah, because that is an English word that did not exist when Jesus was preaching. So, see what I'm saying? So, yeah, has been used for centuries since the 1300s. See? So this is how Jehovah's Witnesses do things. They're very clever at wording things to like hide facts. Well, many scholars prefer the spelling Yahweh. Jehovah is the form of the name that is most widely recognized. Just because something is most widely recognized does not make it true or real. Okay? And I mean, Yahweh is also a hypothesis. But Yahweh is a stronger hypothesis than Jehovah. Jehovah might be popular in the Anglo-Saxon world, but that doesn't make it the name of God. Just because it's popular among Anglo-Saxon English-speaking people, that doesn't make it the name of God. Just because a large number of English-speaking people think that is the name of God, that doesn't make it, the name of God. Let's see. The first part of the Bible was written not in English but in Hebrew, a language that is read from right to left. In that language, the divine name appears as 4 consonants, YHVH.